Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Road to Grandmaster series here on the GothamChess YouTube channel. In this series, I'm taking you through what it takes to reach the ultimate title in chess, the behind the scenes, the game reviews, and so on and so forth. And in today's video, I'm sharing something very special with you. Yesterday, on June 25th, 2024, I was playing in the Chess.com Title Tuesday tournament, which is a blitz tournament every single week with a lot of money up for grabs. I don't win this tournament. All right, I don't even get close, but I play this tournament to have a chance to play some of the best players in the world. And yesterday, I did. Yesterday, I had my greatest start ever, including a game against three-time World Blitz champion of chess, Alexander Grishuk. He is a 5-time candidates participant. He was top 2 in the world at his peak with an ELO of over 2,800. And I'm going to show you that game and 2 more. And the special thing about the Road to Grandmaster series is you see me evolve as a player, not just in my chess, but also as an individual. Maybe you learn some things, but more than anything else, I want to share this journey with all of you to inspire you to chase your goals, chess or otherwise. All right? So here we go. I played this tournament. Now, one thing that I've been doing recently is I installed a Chrome extension where I don't know who I'm playing. And the reason I did this is to not have that information affect the way I play, especially in these online games. Obviously, over the board, you can't really do that, right? So it's like some random, one of those HTML, CSS, like editing things on Chrome. It just lets me remove elements. So I'm going to show you who I was playing, but I'm not going to, I didn't know during the game. So this was a game against Matthias Bluebaum, who I've actually played several times. He's been featured on this channel before. He's one of the top players in Germany. He's very, very, very good. In fact, I suspect that I was playing him when I saw this. Because of all of the top players who play, 80% of them play the Sicilian or E5 against E4. Matthias, despite being German, loves the French, right? So D4, D5. There's a lot of things you can play in a blitz game, and so what I opted for in this game was a exchange variation with this move H3. And the point is that you prevent black from playing bishop G4 in many positions. I mean, I don't know much about this opening. I know it's a minor nuisance, but because black can't pin your knight, when it lands there, you kind of have an easy development, and generally you try to take advantage of one of these moves. It was very funny when Matthias went A6. So these moves don't really change a whole lot about the position. So then I went C4. And again, it's blitz. The engine prefers this type of setup. So C4, he gave me this check. I blocked. And then he developed with knight E7. So already he is playing in a very imbalanced way. I mean, you normally put the knight on F6. You don't even think about it. But clearly he's trying to play in a way that's very provocative, right? Why? Because I played in a way that's very boring. I made the game completely symmetrical, plus I have the advantage of moving first. So if he plays symmetrically with me, it's not going to go very well, because obviously, black has the problems of going second. So knight bc6. Now, at this point, I should probably just develop in castle. But sometimes what happens to me against very good players, like I don't know who I'm playing, right? But I know I have 2 out of 2, and if I deduce correctly, I'm going to play somebody who has 2 out of 2, so I know I'm playing somebody good. What sometimes happens to me is I try to get into a fight a little too quickly. And I did that here. So I immediately tried to get his bishop, right? The problem with this is that now I am 2 moves away from castling. He's 1 move away from castling. And when you can get... You pay attention, because you can do this in your own games. I know there's the average rating of the opponents here is like 2850, but I promise you, even if you're 850 or 250, this is applicable. If you can castle before your opponent and they don't have an easy way to castle, you can actually put pressure on them on that E-file. So that's why I should have played bishop E2, because after takes, he castles, I play bishop E2. Of course, I don't want to take on D5, because if I take on D5, now I'm 2 moves away from castling, and he immediately attacks my king. But I went here, and as I played this move, I went, oh no, because now he goes knight D5. And deep down, I knew that, you know, this pawn is threatened and I'm threatened with a check. And if I just play like, let's say like this, queen d2, defends the pawn, right? Rook e8 check, and I block and I'm ready to castle. He's gonna play a move like queen e7, and I'm in a lot of trouble. Technically, queen e7 does not stop the idea here because I have a trick. I have rook to e1, which is a sneaky little move, right? With back rank ideas. But in general, that's the point. And so I went bishop d2, he went rook e8, and I was like, man, I can't go here. I can't play bishop e2 because he's going to go queen e7. Now, what I have failed to realize was that, you know, this is still survivable, but it's survivable with a really weird series of moves. So I have to go king f1. And you'll notice from my time management, clearly this is not going my way. Clearly, I played the opening very poorly. So, it's just a matter of time before I lose, right? Time to accept our fate. We got 2 out of 2 in this tournament. We know we're playing a good player. We did something stupid. No, Gotham 2.0 doesn't really do that, right? I try to keep the game going. So I play bishop back to d3, sidestepping. He plays knight b6. And here I'm basically looking at the position like, okay, I know I'm worse, right? But we got to figure out something. So I play g3. That's a huge mistake. I was trying to put my king on g2, but it actually would have been better for me to go king g1. Because every single time you move a pawn, you weaken something, right? If he tries to play here, I can play, let's say, bishop f4 to protect my diagonal. Can't really go queen f6 because c7 is hanging. But even if he does that, like, my king is actually very safe. But I thought, why would I march my king? I mean, that seems really lame. Let me just play g3. Yeah, that came back to bite me really quickly because suddenly my light squares are really weak and I'm just clearly losing. Not only am I clearly losing, I'm now below 1 minute on the clock. However, something funny happened here. Instead of defending his pawn, he tried to just basically immediately go for an attack and I got a pawn. I have 54 seconds versus 230 against obviously a very good player. Again, I don't know who I'm playing. But at this point, I mean, the position's miserable. Every single piece he has is playing. I'm getting butchered here. But, you know, the game's got to go on. So I undeveloped my bishop. I now have 4 out of 5 pieces on their home squares. 4 out of 6. You count my king. So during the game, I'm thinking, wow, this is embarrassingly bad. Like, I'm getting demolished. I mean, I completely did not have my brain functioning for this game. But the game's not over. I mean, the thing is, the game's it's not over. He has to win, so he plays rook c6, right? He's just ready to walk in. I play rook e1. I play rook e1 because I need to trade some of his pieces, right? He trades with me, he plays rook e6, and I go queen to d1. Now he goes here. Right now, he's threatening to win the game. If I play h4, the move that he plays here is knight e5. He adds, right? PP on the PP. Put pressure on the pin piece. Can't take it because I'd lose my king. Can't take it because I'd lose my queen. Okay, well, rather than doing that, I play queen e2 to sidestep the pin. He plays here. At this point, I realize he can't find a way through. He has all his pieces perfectly positioned, and yet somehow he can't find a way through. So now I step on the gas a little bit by thinking for 33% of my time. I have 19 seconds versus 153. He goes rook e6. I go here. Now, of course, I know I am under significant pressure. And he grabs a pawn. He grabs the pawn, and now he's not even down a pawn anymore. He was down a pawn, but now he's not even down a pawn anymore. But suddenly, I'm no longer pinned. Now, he's still much better here, and he should probably start pushing his outside pass pawn. But I'm back in the game because I'm gonna bring my queen out. I'm gonna bring my bishop out. I'm gonna push d5. So he goes here. I go bishop f4. And here, I had a feeling he was going to blunder something. And he went here. It's 4 seconds versus 110. And he blunders queen to b3, which is a fork of his knight and this pawn. And with 4 seconds remaining here, I calculated the following sequence. He's going to go knight b5, trying to safeguard his knight. I'm going to play knight to d2, putting pressure on the pin piece. He's going to go knight to a3. I'm going to trade knights. He has to take with the knight, otherwise I take the knight on a3. And when he takes, he's repinned. Then I play queen b7, threatening mate. When he plays knight e5, I take. He can't take because the queen needs to protect the pawn. all of that happened. And at this point, if you're playing black, you gotta make a decision. Because you gotta realize, like, it's a draw. I messed it up. My opponent has 5 seconds. It's not good. But, maybe I can play for a win, right? So he allows me to give him a check. I centralize my queen, and now I'm ready to go. Now, he plays this move F4, right? I have 3 seconds. I play this move with 1.8 seconds on the clock. All right? He plays F3. We go queen E5. So my king is going here. My queen is going here. I'm 2 squares away from queening. I am now doing everything I can to win this game. He goes queen C1 check. I play king H2. He goes queen C2. I'm winning, but I have to go here. And the point is that after queen E3, he can't stop my pawn from promoting. He can go back. I play E7, but this is losing. It's losing because I check him and go to D8. He can go here, but I'll throw in a check. You'll see. Right? So I go king G1, queen B1, king back to H2, queen C2, king G1. We're repeating. And suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, I'm winning the game. Queen F5, queen D5, E7, discover check. The game is over. I queen. He gets 1 move away from checkmating me. But I gave a check first. And this is mate. Now, in many ways, this game was horrible. This was a very bad game of chess. But to be honest, not all sporting events are wire-to-wire victories. And this just cracked me up because previous versions of Gotham Chess would have lost this game in 10 moves from here. And I basically decided my position is horrendous, but he still has to beat me. I mean, he still has to beat me. He still gotta beat me. He still hasn't beaten me. He still hasn't beaten me. Is he even gonna beat me? Wait a minute, what is going on here? So right here, I mean, I wish I gave myself a little bit more time, but I didn't. And I managed to beat Matthias Bluebaum. He's 3,070, like 82 at the time that I beat him in this game. It's like unbelievable. So then we get, my next opponent, right? Again, keep in mind, I don't know who I'm playing. So it's like this. All I see is a panda. So, the game begins. I play the Scandinavian defense. We trade. I figure it's a good player, right? I don't know who. It could be Magnus, could be Hikaru. I don't know who I'm playing. My opponent plays like this. This is a main line, and here bishop c4 is by far the most popular move, and here my opponent plays this move a4. Now, what I love about Title Tuesday, what I love about playing in these top events is grandmasters play such absurd things. I have never seen a4 in my life. I have had this position of the Scandinavian, this position, maybe 200 times at this point in blitz games. I've played knight e5, bishop c4, maybe 20% of the time. I have never seen the move a4. Fabiano played knight h4 against me. Fabiano, in a game where he played knight h4. So my opponent plays a4. I go here. He attacks my queen. And here I start realizing, okay, obviously the idea was to restrict my queen side. I don't really understand. And white goes g3. So I was like, oh, okay. g3 makes sense. My opponent's trying to go here and castle. But what I decided is I'm aware that sometimes in the Scandinavian, you can play moves like h5. And so if bishop g2, I go h4 and actually begin like a quick attack on him. But as I played h5, I was like, oh my god, I just allowed my opponent to play literally the idea of the opening. The idea of this whole opening is d6. It's, it's actually why I should have kept my pawn and knight here. Because, let's say, bishop e7, bishop f4, this is less scary because I have queen d8. But because I played knight to d7... now he's going to put his knight on d6. Not only is he going to put his knight on d6, right? Like this. I can't castle. He has me completely dominated on the dark squares. Now, as it so happens, he didn't play it the best way. He probably should have just played knight d6. But he took. And this transformation gave me chances. So knight f6, he goes here. And I thought, man, this is so unpleasant. Now, I know you see the engine. The engine says it's equal. This does not feel equal, my friends. Like, it really doesn't. I mean, he's almost mating me. in the middle of the board. This does not feel equal. H4. He played C3, trying to get his queen out. And I offered him a trade, because I figured with one bishop, he can't beat me. Two bishops is scary. Not to mention, I thought, okay, I'm blocking his bishop, right? If he doesn't want to trade. He goes A6, trying to get in. I play B6, closing it down. And so right here, again, you'll notice the time this game is much better, about 30 seconds, which is a lot, but, you know, pretty good for me. And so I went knight G8. Idea of knight G8, very straightforward. I want to go knight E7. I want to block, and I want to either castle or at least walk my king. Remember from the previous game, by the way, how in the opening, I could have walked my king right here, could have went king G1. Notice how these patterns overlap. So he goes queen E2. He spent a lot of time on queen E2. That gives me information, right? Queen E2, knight E7, queen B5 check, and suddenly, he just lost time. Look at the position here. And look at the position 3 moves later. All that changed is the queen went there. You'll notice, actually fascinating how much time he went. Queen E2, queen B5, queen E2. This is a safe king. And unlike a traditional castling arrangement, my rook actually pressures this file. Not only does my rook pressure the file, you'll notice, by the way, I very quickly gallop in with my knight. Not only does my rook pressure the file, I mean, I'm creating checkmating ideas. And here comes my queen. Now, at this point, I am fully confident. Again, I'm nervous, of course. I know I'm playing a very good player. I don't know who I'm playing. 3 out of 3, you got to be playing a strong grandmaster. And what's making me nervous is not my opponent. What's making me nervous is I have a chance. That's always the thing that's made me nervous. I don't lose these games out of nerves, but I sure as heck don't win a bunch of these games due to nerves. And obviously, skill. These players, move by move, are going to make more accurate moves than me, for now. You know, again, like I'm thinking, wait, the worst is over. So I have this position. I've improved all of my pieces. How am I going to break through? Now, at this point, I kind of ran into a wall, all right? I didn't know how to make progress in this position. And the computer finds a really beautiful idea, which is queen h7 and infiltrating on the light squares. So the threat is bishop d3, and if he protects the threat, let's say by going here, then I play bishop c2. He can't go anywhere, and I can win his queen. So queen h7. I didn't see queen h7. So here, I threatened a repetition of moves. And I truly mean threatened, because these people don't want to draw me. Not because I'm me, because I'm 2750. You know, he doesn't want to draw, so he goes here. Now, bishop c2 is still the best move, by the way. Because if he takes, there's knight e3. But I started shuffling, and I realized, wait a minute, I don't have much. So I go here. Now, here he's actually better if he finds a he has 3 seconds, he's not going to find it. But now we get into an endgame. We go into a rook and bishop endgame. 3 versus 7, absolute time scramble, rook c6, and he blunders. I give him a check, and he blunders the fork. I realized that after shuffling. I was like, oh my god, he blundered the fork, and now I'm up a pawn up. I'm a pawn up. I'm a pawn up. What? F4. I go for the second pawn. He goes for the breakthrough. I play rook h6, just coming back. My rook was kind of useless. Now we're trading, right? Now I'm going to win the second pawn. b5, rook a6. I'm 2 pawns up, but this is kind of scary because he's bringing in his king. It's so scary, in fact, I accidentally let him activate his piece, and now he might even be back in the game, but it's a crazy scramble. I'm going to win as many pawns as I can. There we go. Now I'm 2 pawns up, but it's probably a draw. It's a draw because his king is very active, and the pawn is promoting. Still tons of tricks, though. Rook a8. I play rook a3. He plays king c5. I play a6. Everything is solid. He starts pushing. I give him a check. Now, probably what he should do is go backwards here. You kind of don't want to go here. You also don't... I mean, you kind of don't want to go backwards because you feel like you need to support your pawn, but guess what? That's a fatal mistake. Because now I calculated that even though I lose the race, I queen with check, and when you queen with check, you call the shots. And here I found the only check that I have. With 5 seconds on the clock, I saw this from a distance. Queen g1. Now his king is extracted from the corner into the fury of my queen and rook, and I checkmated Kirill Alexienko on the edge of the board, and I won the 4th round of Title Tuesday as well. I beat Bluebaum, and I beat Alexienko. Alexienko was a candidate before chess was super popular. It was at the beginning of COVID, 2020, 2021. He played in the candidates tournament. He was the wild card. He's 2,700. And this game was not like the previous game. I mean, in this game, I got lucky like 4 different ways. Obviously, I fought, but Blue Bomb didn't have to lose the way he did. He tried to beat me because he doesn't respect me as a human being, let alone a chess player. He tried to beat me. I had no time on the clock. This was a combative game. I mean, sure, my position was slightly unpleasant, but I defended it expertly. Can I give myself a little bit of credit? And then we just had a complicated scramble. Like, this was just a back and forth battle. And I won. And so now we go on break, right? After 4 rounds of Title Tuesday, you go on break. They look at my games. They probably call Kramnik. You know, I got 4 out of 4. Of course, they look at the quality and they're like, okay, he's fine. And so I boot up, right? I boot up this game. Now, keep in mind, this is what it looks like on my screen. My opponent is blank. I don't know who I'm playing. But I see how many points they have in the tournament. And I'm playing a 3.5 pointer. How's that possible? I have 4 points. In chess, you're supposed to play the person who has the same amount of points as you. Well, there was an odd number of people who had 4. Right? So imagine there was 21 people who had 4 points. The top 20 play each other. I was the lowest rated person who had 4 points. Maybe like second lowest. So I dropped to the highest rated 3.5 pointer. Now, I don't know who I'm playing, right? And I will upload the clip discovering I was playing Grishuk, right? So I play a Ponziani. I don't know who I'm playing. I play Ponziani. The craziest part is, this is a video on my YouTube channel called The Best Beginner Chess Opening because it's so venomous at low level, but it's also in one of the courses that I have. And, you know, Grishuk plays a main line. He plays knight f6, and then he takes. I push to attack the knight. And I've had this position before, and here he plays d6, which is the best move. A lot of people play d5 because it feels nice to take the center, but d5 gives me really powerful control. And of course, because he's Grishuk, he plays the best move. Now I pin his knight because this is the best developing move. And bishop e6, I actually forgot if I'm supposed to take or retreat, but I decided, look, I have 4 points. I'm playing with house money. I'm going to retreat. He develops, I develop, and he tries to immediately trade knights with me and potentially put his bishop in the center of the board. I castle, I say, you can take me, he castles. And around here is generally when I start doing stupid, really impulsive things against strong players and lose. Historically, not anymore. So I'm thinking, okay, I could do a lot of things. I can develop some pieces. Let's play knight e4. So I want to relieve the tension, and I want to rotate my knight to the king side. Now, he improves his bishop. He pins me. And what I had calculated here, very briefly, was that he wants to obviously put pressure here. So I'm going to take his knight, and then I'm going to attack his bishop. He's going to preserve it. I'm going to finish the plan of this knight, which is to go here. And now we have the following position. So, of course, his bishop is very powerful, but this bishop is not. And also, he has a damaged structure. So I thought, okay, let's put some pressure on this damaged structure. He defends himself. And as you can see from the evaluation, it's minus 0.3. I mean, black is very slightly better because in the long run, he actually has no weaknesses, and the bishops are going to be felt. So I played bishop to d2. The idea was obviously to put a rook on c1. He played rook fb8, which is a very smart move. The idea of rook fb8 is that he wants to advance this pawn, and that rook should defend it. So b3, he plays a5, and at this point is where the guy rated 3,120 is probably going to outplay the guy who is 400 points lower rated than him. I'm rounding up, it's like 360. Also, this man is peak ELO 2810, literally a world champion in this format, and has played in the candidates 5 times. This man won the World Chess Championship of the speed format that this is being played in, and I'm just playing chess. I didn't know I'm playing him, right? Rook b6, queen c4, rook e1. I improve my position. He plays bishop f8. Now, again, I know he's better. I know. I can feel it because this feels like fighting a parent when you're like a 5-year-old, you know? But I'm just sort of playing quickly here. I'm playing moves that don't change much because ultimately he's the one that's going to have to start taking over the game. Now, here I realize I can actually play like this. And what I should have done here is I should have advanced my f-pawn. But I wasn't really thinking, I felt this was a little bit weakening. I was worried he would break through, but the truth is, actually, this is a very strong idea because, for example, if he just wastes a move, f5 and e6 is very powerful. Not to mention just like f6 maybe, knight h5, you know, get the queen over there. Not there, but to g4. So I didn't play that. I went here, and the second I retreated my queen, I was like, oh no. That was the one idea I was trying to avoid, you know? And now I'm in a lot of trouble, right? Now one inaccurate move on the 24th move, now I'm in a lot of trouble. So, okay, it's time to fall over and die, right? Nope. It's time to fight. We're fighting. I take on d6. Why did I take on d6? Because I need to get into the 8th rank. That's what I'm trying to do. This was my goal. The goal is I have to create counterplay. Now, if you just calculate here, I am losing a pawn. However, he's going to struggle to move a little bit, and I can crawl along the 8th rank, and I actually have some decent chances, which is why he went backwards, and I thought, oh, now I get to save my pawn. Getting to save my pawn's going to a5. This is amazing. So he goes rook b2. I bring my knight back. And I sat there, and I wondered, how is he going to do anything to me? Because I'm going to put my rook in the a file, right? And then I'm going to play a5, and yeah, I know I'm worse. Obviously, I feel it. Because he has the 2 bishops. He can start pushing. What's he can't move his knight forward. He can't move his, like, where's he? I understand the engine says he's better. So here we basically start shuffling. And I start preventing him from doing what he wants. He plays f6. King f7, he's just improving his position. I'm dancing around with my knight. Because I'm like, do something. He plays g6. He plays g5. He's trying to make some progress. I play bishop c3. I want him to take me, actually. He opts not to. And we're in a scramble. We have 10 seconds each. Knight g3, rook e8. I go back to d2. He still can't break through. He goes king g6. I offer a rook trade. He says no thank you. I put my knight back in the center. I'm actually trying to get him to overextend a little bit. But then I have knight d6, rook e6. So he goes here. Now I completely shut down that side of the... Now he can't advance any of the pawns. Now I play knight g3 back. Now I play rook takes. At this point, the position's in the balance, and we both have like 5 seconds on the clock. h4. And here he plays this move. Now, this is a bit of a bluff in a time scramble, but it really confused me. It's a free pawn, but he goes here. I go to h2. This move really, really got me, though. That move really tricked me because I thought he just completely blundered the pawn. Now, what I should play here is probably knight h6 check. Because after this, I bring the bishop back, and I still have my passed pawn. My pawn on h6 is going to be really, really good. But yeah, you got 3 seconds on the clock. Your knight's hanging, so you move it here. That's not what I should have gone for, because now my knight is feeling really restricted. I pushed, impulsive decision, just I'm going to lose the pawn, right? So I'm like, oh my god, what do I do? What do I do? So I play rook d1. Also not a good move. Oh, also not a good move. And all of a sudden, not only do I lose that pawn, I'm going to lose the pawn on h4 as well. And I'm making moves with 1 second on the clock. I'm scrambling, but I gotta focus. You know, he's gonna try to play g3. I can't let him do it. He goes king g5. I go knight d2. He goes here. King f1. We both start bringing our king. Now, I'm losing. I know. He's probably gonna put the pawn here. But for some reason, he doesn't. Suddenly, I'm back in the game. I give him a check. I go to b6. It's not so simple anymore. King d6, rook a4 here, and I come forward. And suddenly, he loses his pawn, and because he never got these pawns moving because he was so worried about running back to stop my a-pawn, we simplify down, and it's just king and rook. We fought, and we fought, and we fought, and 81 moves later, we made a draw, and it was revealed to me, I opened up the analysis page, that I had played Alexander Grishuk. Remember, I played the whole game blind. I did not know who my opponent was. It was complicated. It was a back and forth battle. I was worse most of the game. Then he, in the scramble, tried to trick me with this move h5. He did trick me with this move h5, but I was slightly better. I didn't capitalize on it because I had 4 seconds on the clock. He completely outmaneuvered me here, but I was like, I'm not gonna go down. I'm not gonna go down. I'm gonna do my best. And I mean, he probably could have won this game in many ways, but it was not so simple, you know, because if he activates this, my pawn gets to a6 and then a7 and we fought, and we both played at 91%, and I managed to make a draw. Now, obviously, I lost some games and won some more games, but this was crazy. I can't believe I got this result. This guy is a 3-time world champ. He's the highest-rated player. He might be the highest-rated player I've ever played on chess.com. Like, I've played Hikaru, maybe once or twice on his main account. But yeah, just incredible. It's definitely my highest rated draw, let's put it this way. And I mean, I beat Hikaru, of course, but this is one of the most decorated chess players, like, in history. It really is. Like, there's a lot of legends, but Grishuk is unbelievable. And at the end of the day, these online blitz games are not that meaningful. I'm not saying your games are not meaningful. I'm saying I had a taste of classical over-the-board chess, and so I've been saying this a lot, right? And so not all of you are going to watch this far in the video, but for those of you that do, and I appreciate you very much, I have a very clear mindset shift, which is the fact that over the last couple of years, I haven't been playing tournaments. And so for me, the biggest gauge that I had of my ability, of my skills, of my confidence, was these online games against good players. It doesn't matter anymore, because what matters to me is competitive over-the-board classical chess, because that is how I'm going to get my norms. That is how I'm going to get my biggest wins and losses and lessons. But it does feel really special to play some really good fighting chess, not giving up, and beat some really, really good players every now and then. So, road to GM, baby. Thanks for tuning in. Get out of here.